Hey, so how's it going? So on this very, very cold day, I find myself on the southern English coast again. This time it's not going to be one of those long form videos like Bexhill to Hastings or any of those videos. It's going to be basically me having a little bit of a conversation about Bournemouth and recent events. Hey, so thank you for joining me in another one of my videos. As you saw from the title, I find myself in Bournemouth today. Bournemouth is about 90 miles south of London and a damn fine little place to go if you're needing taking a little bit of English seaside fresh air. I want to thank all my subscribers for joining me, and I want to thank all the new people for joining me. Click subscribe if you haven't already. So it's about 6 degrees today and it's a bit nippy. I can see the appeal why people live down here. This place, there really was no one living here in the 18th century. I mean, there was a small settlement, but nothing really existed until basically the beginning of the 19th century when a spa-type resort was formed and Bournemouth became Bournemouth and the settlement sort of emerged, and now we're sitting at around about 200,000 people living in Bournemouth. But the coastal area is really, really rather pretty. Not typical to all English beaches, as you know. We've actually got sand on these beaches and it's in good condition. Despite the sort of windiness and the cloud, this is a beautiful, beautiful place. And just to give you some perspective, this is some drone footage of Bournemouth on a completely different day. The objective of this walk is to walk down the coast, so from the right side of the screen all the way down the left side to the Sandbanks, where you will see me heading to very soon. So unless you follow me on Twitter, you probably think I've been very quiet when it comes to the US elections. To say I'm disappointed is an understatement. I'm incredibly disappointed. I think the neoliberals that are the Democrats are going to start more wars. Look at Donald Trump's record. No wars started. The only blight on his career was the fact there was about 3 days of bombing. But other than that, not much to report. Compared to other presidents, no wars started. And that, to me, as a non-American, is a good thing. We don't need lots of wars. We don't need the industrial war complex starting wars on our behalf. We don't need it. So they seem to be rebuilding the beaches or putting on more sand. I'm not sure how much sand used to be here back in the day, but what they have done, here we go, the Pool Bay Management Scheme. What are the groins made of? So they're basically adding more sand and making the beach. Over the years, Bournemouth Council has shifted tons of sand from one end of the beach to another end of the beach. Instead of importing it from elsewhere, they've moved it from one end of the beach to another end of the beach multiple times over the years. So I'm attempting to walk all the way along to the end of the Sandbanks before it sort of cuts off to a harbour, and that's when I'm going to turn back. But if you're curious about a trip to Bournemouth, it takes 2 hours on the train. Not the cheapest train ticket, in fact. Train ticket's about £52 return. One of the biggest disadvantages of travel in the UK compared to a lot of other countries in Europe, train travel is extremely expensive. So if you've got a car, getting from London to Bournemouth is better value usually with a car, especially if there's more than one person. But if you just fancy a quick day trip, 2 hours on the train, and you get these wonderful sort of sandy beaches, and they're obviously trying their best to sort of upkeep them because there's a lot of money in Bournemouth. And the further I walk along here, once you sort of go inland to the houses, you get a lot of expensive houses. So because of that, because of the money in the area, everyone in this area votes Conservative. Well, not everyone, but the majority do. The area is kept in good order. That's very telling. When you go to a Labour coastline, everything's a bit run down. They spend more time on homing illegals as opposed to looking after the people that are already here. Controversial again, eh? So US elections.
A rigged election.
Massive fraud, huge fraud. As Donald Trump was saying, really, really big fraud. I can't do his accent, lovely accent he has, tremendous accent he has.
You're going to find tremendous fraud. You're going to find fraud of hundreds of thousands of votes per state.
I think it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment for the West. It's an embarrassment for America. Because anyone that thinks that's legit is kidding themselves. And those that say, oh, there's no proof of fraud, have you even looked? There's a tremendous amount of proof from people from the most minor to entire computer systems being hacked. It is my belief that big tech and all the big corporations are controlled right now, and they're controlled to not want Trump as the president. Big tech's man was Biden. Why is big tech's man Biden? Because he's in their pockets. To deny that fraud didn't take place is beyond naivety. What's happened since November, the mainstream media have all colluded to just basically whack-a-mole on every single bit of fraud that sort of pops its head up. They've ignored it or they've just whacked it back down. However, if you really would like to take the time to do a little bit of research on the mass scale fraud that basically puts the USA on par with Venezuela, I would suggest you look at the website hereistheevidence.com. On that website, you'll see all of the evidence that's so far been gathered, and it is updated almost on a daily basis, showing the amount of fraud that has taken place. Now, I appreciate my opinion might be unpopular with people on the far left or on the left or people that claim to be liberals, but here's the thing. If this had happened the other way round, wouldn't you be demanding an answer into the fraud? Wouldn't you want an answer? I consider myself to be a classical liberal, and I used to think America was the greatest democracy in the world. I now think it is on par with most banana republics. The steal has taken place, and in my opinion, it is the enemies of the West who have stolen this election. Anyway, let's get back to my walk along Bournemouth. I think it would have been unfair to sort of provide a little bit of context, and do check out that website. Political rant over. We've now just got to the Sandbanks. The Sandbanks is a peninsula where there's a lot of very expensive houses. A quick thank you to Southwest England. I'm using your footage here. Hopefully you don't mind. Just to give you some perspective on what it is. Alright, just signed up to this new bike company because I want to go to the Sandbanks and I've run out of walking space. So, and as the rain is about to come, I want to check it out. So let's do this on a bike. Very low seat, but I'm holding the camera so I cannot adjust it. But I think I've got one gear on this bike. Almost got hit. So, a little bit of traffic on the Sandbanks. This is where apparently all the wealthy in the area live. Got nice apartments, nice houses, people kite surfing. Oh, I'm gonna have to sort of put this camera down because the gears are tough. Wow. Notice the great weather. See the houses? Oh, that's a nice house. Number 61. Bit gangster. If you can believe it, on the left side behind these apartments, there's a beautiful sandy beach that stretches all the way along the sandbanks. On the inside that you can see is obviously more of a cove, which of course is perfect for the kite surfers. I tell you, this is windy. I don't know how I'm just keeping my hat on, but it's windy. If you head all the way down this road, you get to a ferry which will take you, I think, to Poole, or it will take you to the other side of the sandbanks, so it makes it easily connectable. I know if you're a local, you can buy 50 tickets for £45 as a pedestrian. I'm not entirely sure how much the price is for one ticket for one person. Really nice smell of food in the air. There's a Rick Stein restaurant. Rick Stein, you know, you're in an expensive place, you see a Rick Stein restaurant. I kind of think this is just a dead end soon, but I could be wrong. Let's find out. Just in regards to the ferry, from what I understand, it does cater for the local population, but doesn't mean that tourists can't go on that ferry. There's a lot of holiday accommodation down here on the sandbanks. So if you were to go on booking.com or Airbnb, you'd see little hotels, and you'd also see Airbnb type apartments and houses up for rent. I have a bike that has a chain half on, half off. Despite trying to change the gears, it's not working. Almost getting to the end of this sandbanks thing, I think. Sounds like a motorbike, but it really isn't. I wish it was electric, that would be fun. But thankfully we're going downhill. What that means, on the way back, I'm gonna have to go uphill. But I think I'm gonna change my bike down here. It's a place to change a bike. I hope. Look at that house. And that one, wow. There's some nice houses down there. Wow. Over there is the ferry if you'd like to get to the other side. But we're going to go around in a circle, I think. This takes us around a circle. Wow, look at these houses. Some really nice houses around here. I think this is where you come and live when you've made it. Click that subscribe button. It could happen. In regards to the Airbnbs, they normally get snapped up in the summer, but if you find yourself with availability and the desire to visit the sandbanks, you can find a feasible place to stay would be on Airbnb. So if you'd like to cycle around the sandbanks, you get one of these bikes. I don't recommend it though. It's a lot of hard work, but it's a worthy bike ride. You can see all this. So basically right on the, I guess the end of the spit, is it? You call the banks, I'm not sure. That's where the nicest houses have been. These are sort of less nice, but still nice. If you're curious about the route I took with the barrel bike, this is the route I took. Pretty straightforward, literally going round the sandbanks and then back. And there we go. Just done a loop of the sandbanks. And this is the Rick Stein's restaurant. There's an amazing Rick Stein in Cornwall, but there's this restaurant here. Really, really good fish and chips. Really good seafood, basically. To be honest, that was actually very enjoyable. Now we're just going to head back and park the bike where I got it from and then walk back towards Bournemouth. Nice sort of bike ride, nice view, nice sort of ability to see what's in the area. Not going as fast as he is, I wish. Oh my god. And the wind picks up again, yeah. Predictions on price of this bike. I think it was £1 to unlock. I think it's 5 pennies a minute. So I think we would have been going for about 15 minutes or so. Possibly one of the most uncomfortable rental bikes I've ever sat on. Look at that. Note, every pensioner is overtaking me. And I'm pedaling really fast. Yeah, I have no excuse. She's got the same bike as me, but her bike's not making a noise. That's my excuse. I'm going right. There we go. Let's go park it back where we got it. Alright, so that costs £1.95 to go around the Sandbanks. Fairly good value. So I'm now on my way back to Bournemouth. As I walk back, I'm sort of pondering my video that I'm about to release today. Obviously it's going to come after this video because I can't always get the content out. But the video that I'm about to release, hopefully you would have seen it by now. It was on my attendance at the London anti-lockdown protests. I know some of you will dislike this or unsubscribe because you believe in the pandemic and you believe in wearing masks and you believe in sheltering grandma. But please look at the mortality rates. Look at the average mortality rates. If this was a pandemic, we would expect double what we have right now, surely. And I do mean no offense when I discuss these figures, because I know good people have lost their lives because of this pandemic. But we must question whether the authorities are handling this disproportionately. The figures would suggest, and I've been looking at the updated figures, that we're probably on course in the UK for around about 590,000, maybe 595,000 deaths. So that would be slightly above the average. But the question is, how much of that is down to neglect, suicide, people missing their operations, people choosing not to go to the doctors or the hospitals until the last minute? I would suggest if you were to take a average death rate of the UK around about 530, 540 and say, and we're going to neglect the population for almost a year, you'd expect the death rate to increase between 5 and 10%. So I'm just saying, look at the figures that way. But at the same time, I really want everyone to stay safe. I wish everyone a pleasant 2021, and I hope everyone's lives can get back to normal. Cliffs here, not quite as impressive as the Seven Sisters or the White Cliffs of Dover, but still rich in history. And I want to thank you for watching. It's always a pleasure reading your comments, the good and the bad, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.